Hi, my sunshines. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I have a very fun, exciting video for you ladies. Thank you for starting out your morning with me while you're having your breakfast or getting ready to head out for your day at work. Today, I wanted to talk about vintage Coach bags. You guys know how much I love vintage Coach bags here on my channel. So today, I wanted to do a little review and talk about a couple of vintage Coach bags. The first one being that I wanted to talk about is this lovely COACH duffel sac. So I wanted to talk about this lovely COACH duffel sac today on my channel and just talk about how, for me, you guys, vintage Coach went way back in history with me, back to my high school years, back to my college years. So this bag was my college book bag in college. Not this exact particular bag. However, I did have it in the black. So I had a black Coach bag and I used it as a book bag in college, for college many years ago. Go UIC, go UIC Flames. I went to the University of Illinois at Chicago. And back then, I remembered carrying the same lovely bag in black leather, a COACH duffel sac in black leather. Now we call this bag today a vintage COACH duffel sac, but back then it was just a COACH duffel sac, you guys. The style number for this bag is 9085. And back then, I wasn't even thinking about anything like style numbers or registration numbers for COACH. All I knew was that this beauty was my book bag. And I carried intro to law books, my history books, my Spanish books, any 101 college course that I was taking back then in college, I was able to put into this bag and use it as a book bag. Of course, I used it as a purse too, as a handbag. I was able back then to put my makeup items in here, my beauty, my lipstick items. But for the most part, this bag was my college book bag. And I know for many of you ladies as well, we all have memories of the duffel sac while we were younger. And now I'm so happy. I'm so happy that COACH has went ahead and restored some of these beauties and offered them on their website. And even if you don't go ahead and spend $500 and something from the COACH website, you can, if you're able to, sometimes you can thrift one of these lovely bags for like $20, $25 or cheaper, or maybe a little bit more. And you can bring them back to life with the leather and with the luster of these beautiful COACH bags. So this lovely COACH duffel sac was just one of my favorites. And what I like about it also is the brass on some of them, not all of them, but on some of these lovely bags from many years ago that were the original quote unquote vintage COACH bags. Some of the hardware says solid brass on them. Now, not all of them, but some of the early bags will say solid brass. I know I have a couple of early bags that were made in New York City, and the duffel sac is definitely a staple in my handbag collection. It's definitely one that I always love. It's funny for me how a vintage COACH bag like this duffel can bring back so many memories and your recollection of what you were doing back then when you had the original bag. Like for me, for instance, this COACH bag brings back all different types of memories of, believe it or not, I remember the guy I was dating back then when I was in college. I remember the car that I was driving. At that time, I'll never forget it. I was driving a 1983 Ford Escort. And I'm telling my age a little bit here, but I remember getting that car and driving a Ford Escort. My dad bought it for me. It was my first car and I loved it so much. I remember getting on the expressway with that car and not even being an experienced driver, but being out there. You couldn't tell me anything. I thought I was grown. I thought I was grown back then because I had a car. I was in college. It was my freshman year of college, and I had a COACH bag. Back then, it was just a COACH bag, not a vintage COACH bag. So I thought I was doing it. I thought I was the back then with this COACH bag, you guys. So this bag brings back a lot of memories for me. And I'm sure you ladies, as you wear your handbags, you go through different things in life, and you could think back and you could say, oh man, I remember, if you look at a bag, you'll say, I remember I was going through this tribulation or that trial during that time. You know, they'll bring back different memories for you, and you can recollect different things based on the handbags that you're carrying. So even though I love the bags so much, it's so nice because they also serve as just memories for you. So the next bag that I wanted to talk about is none other than this lovely bag right here. And I talked about this bag before on my channel. This is a lovely Coach briefcase, and it is a vintage Coach briefcase. And I just wanted to talk about it because this bag was actually thrifted. Now, back when Coach sold this bag, it sold for about $295, $195. Believe it or not, this handbag was thrifted for about $21.99, $21.99. And the leather on this bag is just mwah, chef's kiss. It's just so supple and luxurious. I have to tell you a quick story about this handbag before I let you guys go. And when I thrifted this lovely handbag, I really liked it because, first of all, I found a business card inside one of the pockets. Inside one of the interior pockets of this lovely handbag was a business card. And the business card said Willis Tower on it. Now, if you're from the Midwest, you know, if you're from Chicago and Illinois, the Willis Tower years ago used to be called the Sears Tower. And it's the largest building in the city of Chicago downtown. It has about 110 stories, 110 floors. It has a sky deck for you to overlook the city and beautiful Lake Michigan. It has law offices and all different types of offices in the building for business meetings. I found the business card to someone who originally owned this bag in this briefcase when I, originally got it from a thrift store. And that just brought back so much for me because it made me realize that at some point, this lovely bag went to business meetings at the Sears Tower, which is now called the Willis Tower. Someone carried this briefcase to a business meeting. Now, for me, the reason why I think they ended up giving it away and donating it to the thrift store, we all know that if something is wrong with our bags, sometimes if it has a little flaw, that can get on your nerves a little bit and you might end up donating it or giving it away. Well, one of the turn lock closures on this beauty was broken. When I purchased it from the thrift store, one of these turn lock closures was broken. And I thought to myself, and even some of you ladies originally, when I purchased this bag, told me to go ahead and take it to a cobbler. I ended up taking it to a cobbler that's right up the street from me because I thought if I sent it into the Coach company, as much as I love the Coach company, you guys know sometimes with Coach and with Louis Vuitton, if you send your bag into them to be repaired, sometimes they'll keep your bag and they'll say they couldn't repair it and then they'll issue you a store credit. And it's great if you can purchase a brand new bag. But in this particular case, I didn't want a brand new bag, believe it or not. This is a time capsule. This is a time capsule and it's a staple in my collection because it's a vintage briefcase. So I got scared and I didn't want to send it in for repair and I went to a cobbler. Now when I went into the cobbler, as I walked into his store, I saw a shelf with a bunch of other handbags that needed to be repaired. I saw a bunch of shoes all throughout his store that needed to be repaired, but I saw a shelf with a bunch of handbags just tossed to the side. And the first thought that I had was, please, I don't want my handbag to end up on that shelf. I don't want my handbag mixed in and lost with all those other handbags. So I was thinking, I hope he can do a repair and give it back to me right away. So I asked him to do a repair on the turn lock closure, and he did. He took the bag away from me and took it to the back of his store and fiddled around with it. I heard a few drawers opening and closing. I heard a few bits, some of his tools rattling around. And he brought my lovely bag back to me. And when he brought my bag back to me, he had repaired it. It was repaired. And I was like, yes. And I didn't have to leave it. I didn't have to leave it overnight. So he gave it back to me and I was thinking, how much is he going to charge me? Is it going to be $30? Is it going to be $15, $20? Is it going to be $8 just to repair one of these little brass fittings? And you know what he did? You know what he said, you guys? When I originally came in, I had the bag slung across me, crossbody. He said, just throw it back across you. and he fixed it and repaired it for me for free. And I tried to offer him, I tried to give him a little something for a tip, and he was like, it's fine. And he went right back to work on the rest of his shoes. And I was so happy that I was able to bring my lovely Coach bag home with me. One thing that I wanted to say also is the brass fitting that he repaired it with was so identical to what the original Coach company uses. It was like a perfect match. He had the exact brass fitting or a very similar one and was able to repair my lovely bag. And as you can see, they work no problem. Both of these flap closures work absolutely very well with no problem. So today, you lovely ladies, I just wanted to talk about these two lovely vintage Coach bags in my collection and tell you guys, if you ever get a chance to thrift a vintage Coach bag, don't leave it. Don't make that mistake. Make sure you go ahead and pick it up because it's a diamond in the rough. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for hanging out with me. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe on my channel. Check out my playlist for other vintage Coach bag videos, and I'll see you ladies soon in another video. Bye.